Monster House is one of my favourite Halloween movies of all time, and definitely one of my favourites. This 2006 classic features no other than Steve Buscemi playing the role of Nebelcracker. Nebelcracker is a frail old man who hates people coming anywhere near his property and will do anything to make sure the kids and adults shall never return anywhere near his house. Hence why he takes items that land upon his lawn and tells them never to return. This movie is about one of Nebelcracker's neighbours called CJ. CJ is played by no other than Mitchell Russo, and he's a very suspicious neighbour. Very nosy neighbour, shall we say. And he spies on Nebelcracker's house and on him, doing like taking kids' possessions, disturbing the peace upon people. After Nebelcracker has a fatal heart attack, CJ and his gang plan to prove to the local authorities, i.e. the police, that not only Nebelcracker has been stealing possessions, but also the house is alive and has also been stealing their possessions. What I really liked about this movie is the incredibly written story, in which still I love to this day. And if a movie can stand the test of time from when you were a kid to being an adult, that just shows what a good movie it really is. As it is revealed that the house is actually alive, and that Nebelcracker's dead wife is the sort of host of the house who fell into a hole in her unfinished house years and years ago after trying to scare away trick-or-treaters, and she pulled down a cement lever in which covered her in cement as she was falling, and it basically encased her into the house, and she became the house. And Constantine, who was Nebelcracker's wife, then sort of takes control of the house and is basically bullying Nebelcracker into doing things that he wouldn't normally have done before he met her, and that he's basically stuck in this awkward sort of relationship with a house which is actually his wife. And the reason why Nebelcracker scares people away from his house and steals their possessions is to make sure they don't return in order to protect them, because Constantine is now a very dangerous house in which can eat people and eat objects, as you see with the police car and with several other different things that either the grass eats up or the actual house does. Obviously Nebelcracker did told people to get off his fucking lawn because of this reason of scaring people away so they didn't come back and be like, yo, I want to play with your house, you know what I mean, and that sort of shit. I also really liked Steve Buscemi in this movie, as well, as he was brilliant in this role of Nebelcracker, and he was excellent and helped portray the character really, really well as a villain throughout the majority of the movie, because you thought he was a bad guy up until he returned from the hospital after his heart attack, that you actually realise, hang on a minute, he's the good guy, and that the house is actually the bad guy, in which you would have probably guessed the house was the bad guy from the name of the movie, Monster House. However, that's not as simple as you just think Nebelcracker's being a dick, not letting anybody on his lawn. However, that's not really the case. He was doing that, as we learned, as I mentioned earlier, that he was doing it to protect people, and that if he had a choice, I'm pretty sure he would let someone shit on his garden. But that wasn't his choice, and that his wife was basically bullying him. And Steve Buscemi helped portray this character really, really well, and you sort of felt sorry for him, and his character by the end of this movie you just feel sorry for a guy that's been stuck in a very, very awkward relationship. I also really enjoyed the hilariously funny comedy within this movie, as there were several times in which there was drug references, sex references, and even the likes of alcohol used within this movie, in which it's a kids movie, so you wouldn't expect it. There's one that stands out for me, in which it's Kevin James' character, Officer Landers, who basically says to the gang who are stood outside the monster house, Nebelcracker's house, and are saying that the house is alive, basically, and Kevin James' character, Officer Landers, is basically turning around and saying, what have you been smoking, what drugs have you been taking, then starts checking the kids' eyes to see if they've been smoking any funny sort of stuff, before then chucking them in the back of the car, which is hilarious. And to me, these references in kids' movies are gold, as help the adults get involved and enjoy the movie better, in which this is a key example, and other examples are like Shrek, in which a movie reviewed already, so go check that out after this video. But the similar sort of things, not really drug references, but mostly like in Shrek, it's mostly like the sex references in that movie. However, this one is mostly like the drug references like that I've just mentioned, and the drinking one, like the Bones is seen, one of the characters called Bones is seen drinking a bottle of beer, in which in a PG, I can't name any PG movies in which see somebody drinking, especially if it's a kids movie as well. You just don't see it happen, and that's why I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. However, I don't think everything smells of roses within this movie, even though it is one of my favourites. There is some weaker points, if you would like. One of the weaker points that I spotted was the use of American language, in which was very strong, and I know this is an American film and you're going to see that, but there's certain words that they use in which we don't really hear over here in the UK, in which is just sort of like, it weren't really, that you didn't really need to say that word, you could have said something else or whatever. And there was a couple of instances in this one in which the word uvula, I don't know if that's, as far as I'm aware, this was the first time I'd ever heard it in Monster House. I don't know if it's used in the UK, because I always thought that was tonsils, and over here in the UK, I could be wrong, let me know in the comments, but that was something I noticed, unless it was just a new word that I learned, I don't know. Either way, I would say this was maybe a problem, as there's some American language in there used, and it's just sort of like, you could have just toned it a little bit more on the basic English side, but that's I suppose that's what shows the culture around America and things like that, and that you are going to hear some versions of American slang, I suppose, compared to our words, in which could be British slang, and I get that. Another point which I want to get onto is the fact that guns were used in this movie, in which, if I'm being picky, which I'm not really bothered about it, but this is if I'm being picky, and if there's some snowflakes who are watching this video, in which there probably is at least one, that pointing a gun at a kid's face in, well, an adult police officer pointing a gun in a kid's face isn't really the best thing in a kid's movie. However, I don't really give a shit, but I just thought I'd mention that could be a weak point if somebody wanted to make an argument about that sort of point being a bit too serious and a bit too whatever. I don't really give a shit. However, the thing I do give a shit about is the little rape angle that they put into this movie, in which I didn't think was necessary at all and should be nowhere near a kid's movie, in my opinion. As there's a little part where Bones is making out with Zee, the babysitter, and she tells him to stop a couple of times, like fucking throwing himself at her and kissing each other, and then she just wants to back away a little bit, and then he's carrying on, in which is a little bit rapey to me. And there was a point where they were wrestling on the floor a little bit, and then she told him to get fucked, and then he waltzed out, and that's where he got basically eaten by the house, in which you shouldn't really have. I know it was a small part and they didn't really show anything, you know what I mean, but you could see what it was hinting at, and I don't think this belonged anywhere near a kids movie, in my opinion. It just shows how dark some kid movies actually go, and when you're a kid you probably wouldn't know what's sort of happening there. But on a rewatch, I was like, fuck me, that really shouldn't be in there. If it was like a 12, 15 or 18, maybe yeah, but for a PG, no, definitely not. And a kids animated movie, no. Keep that well away from this type of movie. To summarise this movie then, this is one of my all-time favourite Halloween movies, especially kids Halloween movies of all time, and definitely ages very well in my opinion, as it is hilariously funny, hence why I'm giving this classic movie, let's give it some description on there, this classic movie, an 8 out of 10, and if you agree with what I've said in this video, or if you're a snowflake and you disagree with some of the things I said, put them in the comments. If you're a snowflake, then I probably won't read it and I will ignore it. But either way, hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. Like, subscribe and comment. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you are alerted to any new videos this channel or I make on this channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters. Before you go, click this one to see more reviews like this one. Honestly, a full playlist here for you to go and check out. Click this one. However, if you just want to watch just one more video, just click this one. This is our newest video right here. for you, just hit that subscribe button so then you're alerted to the newest one. So then if you're not too bothered now, you can come back later. And also press that notification bell as well. It'll really help us out. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know, like I said, in the comments down below what films you want to see in here and we can do it for you. Thanks.